Are you exhausted? I mean, tired. There's an expression that I used to hear my grandmother say, that I heard myself say for years. I am tired in my soul. Oh my gosh. If you've ever felt the need to say that expression or anything similar to that, you know what I'm talking about. Are you tired? We're talking about that today. Are you tired? And if you are really, really tired, I want to ask you a question. What are you trying to control? What are you holding on to so hard? What are you trying to move in the direction that you think it should move into? What are you trying to control? Are you tired? That's our discussion today on Everyday Peace with Dr. Drayvon James. Are you tired? And I got to tell you that if you're really, really tired, I'm talking beyond physical tired. I'm talking beyond, I've worked a 12-hour shift. I've been a pharmacist for over 30 years now. Gosh, can't imagine that. And I've worked a number of 12, 13-hour shifts in my career. And I know what it's like to be physically tired, but that's not really the tiredness I'm talking about today. And actually, that's not it at all. There is a component of being physically tired in there. But I'm talking about that tiredness that is maybe weary. Maybe that's a good word for it. You just feel weary, run down, just, that really weary feeling, which generally comes from us trying to control our environment, trying to control others, trying to essentially control the universe, right? Because we are powerful, but that's not what our power is meant to be used for. You know that because you're tired. You're tired of trying to control everything your children do, or everything your significant other does, or everything that your coworkers do, or everything that goes on in your community, or everything that goes on in your city or in your town. You're just tired of trying to manipulate the pieces. And you're not trying to maybe do anything bad. You're just trying to make things go good. And you know that if A did what it was supposed to do, and if B did what it was supposed to do, then C could do what it was supposed to do. Nobody gets it, right? You are trying to conduct an orchestra, if you will, right? Or a play. I've been in many plays. I've been on HBO, and I've directed my own films, and I know what it takes to put a production on, right? And to be the director and pull all the pieces together. But the director can't play the role single-handedly, all of the actors, right? I love Tyler Perry, and he does such an amazing job. Woody Allen did an amazing job too. I think of them very different kinds of work, but they seem similar in the sense to me that they get a core group of actors, and they really provide a great working environment. It's an ensemble. And then they write, they produce, they direct, and then they're also in their productions. But they're not the only ones. They don't play every role. They understand that they have to allow an expression to come from all of these different people to make this beautiful synergy that we see on the screen. The same thing with life. We don't play every part. And so we have to learn how to open our hands, open our hearts, close our mouths, and let go. Let go. That's what our power is for. That's why we're so powerful. We're not so powerful because we're meant to try to control everybody. No, that can never be done. We know that. We're exhausted from trying. We're so powerful because we have the power to let go. Now, that's frightening for a lot of people. They don't believe that they can. They don't believe for a single moment if they stop worrying that things would be okay. Right? Yet the Word of God tells us, and you could call it the divine spirit, universal law. Let's use that. I love that phrase. Universal law says to us, who by worrying can change anything? Who can do that just by worrying? We sit down and we worry about the number of hairs on our head. Doesn't change the number of hairs on our head. Worrying does not produce the results that we want it to produce, but yet we believe that if we stop worrying about our children, then they won't go along the proper path. If we stop worrying about our significant other, then they won't behave properly. They won't stay in love with us. If we stop worrying about our finances, we'll go broke. It's not the worry. That's the magic. It's the worry that is making us tired and subtracting from our happiness, our brilliant life. The worry robs us of a fulfilling life. So we've got to learn how to relinquish the desire to control everything. We've got to learn how to use our power to let go. So I just want to share some notes that I have here today with us. And this is such an important topic that I had to write a lot of this down because I really don't want us to miss out on some of these things here. But our behavior, our physical behavior, the conversation that comes out of our mouth, the way we interact, has a lot to do with how we preserve our energies. If our physical behavior is that, we allow ourselves to get overly involved in the outcome of things instead of enjoying the journey, or even if the journey is something that we find that's not enjoyable, pulling back and just watching the journey. When we become overly invested and we get into that controlling space, that type of behavior starts to rob us of peace, wholeness, and completeness, nothing missing and nothing broken. So we want to learn how to surrender. Right? It is pointless for us to waste any energy. We're stopping right now. I tell you, when you empty one house, you got to fill it up with something else, or it just becomes pointless. We're going to stop right now. In this moment right now, we are going to relinquish the notion of controlling anyone at all. From the tiniest person to the most significant person in our life, we relinquish the notion that we can control anyone. No manipulation. You know how that works. We can be overly loving, overly kind, right? Exhibit that behavior because we're really trying to elicit a response. Or we can pull back and hope that they'll run after us. None of that game playing. Right now, we relinquish that. And instead, we put that energy into our true power source of trusting the universe. I know that feels strange at first because we throw that word trust around, but we really don't lean into it fully. So instead of worry, we're going to start trusting. We're going to trust, and this is how we trust. We don't wait till it gets all together and think, oh yeah. In this moment, we say, if this is shown up in my life, here we go, pulling into that toolbox I told you guys about, then I know that this has shown up in my life for only one reason. And what's the universal reason? The universal reason is this. It's shown up in my life to bow down and to serve me so that I can deliberately and consciously cultivate the life of my dreams, my next level of greatness, whatever it is. I will not attempt to control the outcome. Instead, I will stay totally present in the present moment, totally aware and checking in with myself. How are you feeling? That's a question for ourselves. Say, I'm worried. Really? What are you worried about? A question for ourselves. See how we're having this dialogue? We're paying attention to ourselves. We're turning inward, where the answer always is. We're turning inward instead of outward. You say, well, I'm worried about X, Y, and Z, and those are all external feelings, right? Those are all external things that you're worried about. But you're listening, and you ask yourself, so what would it take for you to let go? And you wait. And you'll get something. The ego will just start throwing things at you. And then we go back to this. And this is really what the ego wants to know. We'll talk about the ego. We'll talk about that. It's so worth talking about. If we never fight our ego, this is what the ego wants to know. One, that they're safe. So you have to tell it. You have to use your words. Your words have the most power, the most impact on the you that's looking out into the world. Your words do. It's looking to hear from you. And this is what it wants to hear, that no matter what, I am never leaving you. I love you. I accept you. I honor you. We are safe. Your ego wants to know that. When you silence your ego down and rest in that fact, which is true, if you create a safe space inside of you, it will eventually emerge on the external world. It will. You can have a safe space in the external world, but inside of you have chaos and worry, and you'll never feel safe. You see, you've got to cultivate safety internally first. You got to do that internally first. So, if you're tired, if you're exhausted, and you're ready for rest and for peace, you're ready to embrace your next level of greatness, to live in that cultivated world that you alone are designing. We're going to let go of trying to control others, trying to control circumstances. We're letting that go, and we're replacing that energy that we would spend on worrying and controlling. We're replacing that energy on soothing and quieting our ego. My name is Dr. Drayvon James. This is Everyday Peace with Dr. Drayvon James. I absolutely love you, and I thank you for showing up today as an everyday peacemaker.